We're all hearing the news drum up new cases with new variants, and, well, people around the world are just not having it. Now, it was last week, Alex Jones came out and he was talking about the TSA agent that leaked news to him about a new COVID variant that's going to be coming around, and that, well, they're going to be pushing to move into a new pandemic, a group of pandemic measures, going back to mask mandates and then eventually to other types of mandates and lockdowns. And, well, Alex Jones has come out to talk more about this and solidify that, yes, this is the news and this is what has been planned, but here's how it's rolling out so far.
Americans have just had a major victory against the globalist tyrants. And this victory, if people pay attention, can be a model of defeating their future operations. So please, listen to me clearly. If you remember, about 10 days ago, I came out and said, according to my sources inside the federal government, they've been told that new COVID protocols are going to be rolled back out starting September 15th through December and into next year for the election. They were told first masking for TSA employees and other airport employees, and that Biden would then do a mandate middle of October. Now, that's what they were told. Right after I reported that news, and the reason my story went so viral was because suddenly, the same afternoon, they rolled out a huge PR campaign that hospitals are shutting back down and colleges are making you wear masks and some public schools are closing, and the protocols need to come back, whether you were in Australia, the UK, Canada, the US. It was the same PR. So I announced this in the first hour of my morning show on Friday, 2 Fridays ago. And then by 5 o'clock that evening, they had their full rollout pushing it. Since then, Biden has come out and said he wants multiple billions of dollars for a new COVID vaccine that's coming out September 15th, same date the TSA whistleblower told me they were going to have masks put back on. So
now, I'll leave the link in the description. You can watch the entire video from Alex Jones, but let's get into it. People are not having it. People are being told that this is we're just, we're kind of slowly easing into it. We're not getting right into it. But we've heard that before. The whole 2 weeks to flatten the curve. It was 2 years to flatten most people's businesses. And this is why people are saying, nope, not going to comply. I've even got the do not comply shirt at the merch shop. Go check it out. Link is in the description down below. You can get one for yourself, so you can tell people, nah, not gonna do it. It's not gonna happen. Not again. Not like you did before. And it'll be worse, as this nice lady points out on Twitter.
I'm just gonna say this. I heard this morning on another podcast that this variant obviously is already sweeping the UK. They're considering having all their citizens in the UK mask up again. Guys, I am begging you. If you stood down in 2020, please stand up in 2023 when this hits our shores. Because if you think you lost freedom last time, it ain't going to be nothing compared to what they're going to do this time. And if we overwhelm these idiots and let them know that we will not do this, and those of us that stood last time don't have to stand alone, then we can beat this. We can actually beat them at their game this time. So please don't be a coward this time. Don't mask your kids up. Don't go and not go to the grocery store without your mask on. Don't send your kids to school with masks on. Don't stop hugging each other. Don't stop going to church. And if your pastor shuts his doors, find a new church. If your pastor finds a way to agree with the narrative, find a new church this time. Guys, we are living in the end, and they are trying so hard to tear down our country from within. And they're doing it, and they're going to continue doing it. And the only way for us to push it back is to stand up. There are far more of us than there are of them. But they are going to work exceptionally hard, and I guarantee you, if they start pushing this in our country, it will be far worse than it was last time. Far worse than it was last time. They want 15-minute cities. They want us to stop communicating with each other. They want to censor us. They want to shut us down. We have to stand. We're already seeing it with what's going on in Hawaii. And if you think that was a natural disaster, you got another thing.
Well, she gets into that. And then we've also seen this here in British Columbia, as I was reporting on last week as well. But what is what is the reality of this situation? Is there real concern? Now, you reach out and you look for different places that are giving the news. And, well, down in Texas, it doesn't seem like they're very worried about it.
COVID cases are on the rise across the country, and as some states consider mask mandates once again, Governor Greg Abbott insists there will not be any mask mandates here in Texas. As KENS 5 reporter Megan Reyna explains, there is a new law on the books to back that up.
That's always good to see. That is good to see. I'll leave a link in the description. You can go check out that video in its entirety. But we're seeing also Yahoo News is saying, no, the CDC has not released a new thing for mandates. There's no COVID mask mandates happening yet, but then you go to some other news agencies and they sound a lot different, a lot more dire.
COVID is making a comeback this summer, so many of us would like to leave it in the past, but cases are once again on the rise. So when will new booster shots roll out? Ann Thompson asked the CDC director.
This summer, most Americans left COVID in the past, gathering together once again mask-free. But tonight, signs of a COVID resurgence. Across the country, COVID hospitalizations jumped more than 14% in the most recent week, but far lower than pandemic levels. NBC News medical contributor Dr. Kavita Patel.
What's behind this uptick in COVID that we're seeing?
The main driver of this is a variant that's relatively newer to the scene, EG5. It's easier to give and get, so that makes it kind of easier to pass along.
It's been almost a year.
Like the common cold, which we were told this is what it was going to become. It was going to become something very easy to pass along and something very easy to get over as well. Canada's first new case of COVID variant is detected in BC. Hey, we got it here in British Columbia now. Oh no, we're all gonna get it. Are we? Well, maybe we will. The center said BA2.86 variant of the Omicron strain was identified in a person from the Fraser Health region who has recently been outside the province. Provincial Health Officer Bonnie Henry said Minister of Health Adrian Dix said, and they both said in a joint statement that there doesn't seem to be increased severity with the strain and the affected individuals is not in hospital. But we'll see, because this is all the stuff that we heard before the whole pandemic itself. We even heard Prime Minister Justin Trudeau say that we're not the type of country to enforce mandates. But this is something that we did hear, and this is Omar Algebra telling us that the mandates are suspended. Oh, wait, no, they never ended the mandates. They were just suspended.
That's why today's announcement is possible. And I'm pleased to announce that on June 20th, our government will suspend the requirement to be vaccinated in order to board a plane or train in Canada.
And then he says it in French. But this is where we're at. But there are cries. There are people crying. Govern me harder, daddy. And there's activists, even in Vancouver. Anti-mask counter protester was violently assaulted by a pro-mask activist in Vancouver. And this is a story from the Post-Millennial, but this was actually shot by Dan Dix from Press for Truth. And he was out there on the scene, and he got the footage of these. So there's all these people, and he does a report. I'll leave a link in the description for the report. But he's talking to these people, and they're begging for more mask mandates. No joke. They're begging for it without there even being any severity of health risks. One lady was talking about long COVID. We don't know what'll happen if you had the common cold for a long time. I don't know. Yeah, there are risks, and sorry, but the rest of society is not going to muzzle up for these people. But so one guy came out to say, I disagree with you. Apparently he was talking for about 10 minutes, and the mask people attacked him.
So stay here with us, and let's continue to... Hey.
So obviously a scuffle there. I'm not going to show too much of this. YouTube doesn't like that stuff on the channel, but I will leave a link to Dan Dix's report on that in the description down below. So check that out. But many people are just not having it because of what it was, what we went through as children. We're being muzzled. People are saying, no, I'm not going to comply. Do not comply. There's more people here on Twitter saying, never do this, never comply, never do not comply ever. And these are the things that were done to people here in our country. And it's sad. It's sad, and we won't let that happen. Joe Rogan commenting on the fact that this is this big movement that's trying to change the world, and we all kind of know where that's coming from. But Joe Rogan commenting on this here.
We are at the precipice of unstoppable great change. And I think it's going to hit us like a fucking tsunami. And I think we're just really fortunate to be alive at this time. Yes. Where the whole world is going to shift in a really wild way. And I think one of the things you're seeing from whether it is these corporations or these government entities that are trying to control narratives, this is like them trying to grasp at the last bits of control that are potentially available. But I think inevitably they're going to lose.
Well, I hope Joe's right on this one, that they'll eventually lose, because people are just not having it as they're trying to grasp at power. The Hodge twins here saying they're trying to pull off the COVID scam again. Do not comply. And that's the gist of it. Do not comply. Do not comply. People just saying this. Do not comply, resist. Look at what they did in Australia, where they were jailing store owners, beating them up and throwing them in paddy wagons because they said they won't comply with the mask mandates. But this is a thing that's happening. It looks like it's going to take place, but we'll yet see. But here's former vice president of Pfizer, Dr. Mike Yeadon, talking about exactly what's going on.
Unfortunately, I think this is just the beginning. So I've learned when people tell you what they're going to do, don't ignore them. So when the UN and Bill Gates and Klaus Schwab tell you that they've got a UN 2030 plan with sustainable development goals, I think there are 17 or 21 of them, and every one of them says you won't be traveling, you won't have a private car, we won't be using international shipping to move goods around. There won't be any flights except military or perhaps very rich people. You won't own anything and you'll be happy. You probably won't live in your own house. You'll be using much less energy for everything, including heating, manufactured goods, and so on. When they tell you that, you should assume that they're serious about it. And so I think COVID has been part one of a multi-act play that's going to take 10 years that will destroy the liberal democracies completely. If you think living in a democracy, now ask yourself who you could vote for that would change this, because I don't think there's anyone you can vote for anywhere that is guaranteed things. So I don't have an answer, but I'm telling you, I think we're sliding down through the gates of hell. I'm speaking out. There's nothing in it for me. I've lost lots of money, all my friends. I'm away from my home and family, and I'm speaking out because, as I close, I am absolutely sure what I've told you is substantially true.
And this is what it's been. We've been given the book by Klaus Schwab himself, COVID-19, The Great Reset, where he lines it out. He lays it out there. I mean, people call these things conspiracy theories. It's right out there in the open. But this is where we're at. The best way to do things is to just ridicule people. I think ridicule is a cure. As they try to socially ostracize people, well, we just need to socially ostracize right back. And this is always the best way to interact with someone who still wears a face mask after all this time. I mean, obviously there are people who have real medical reasons for wanting to wear these masks. And in all honesty, if people are sick and they're wearing a mask to stop other people from being sick, well, that's probably a good thing to push forward. But hey, everything else in the meantime is well, do not comply. This is where it's been at. Go head over to the merch store. You can get one for yourself, the Do Not Comply t-shirts. Wear it when you, especially as we're coming up to what is it, the million person march. It'd be a great time to go on over there with that and say, well, I'm not going to comply with all of this stuff that you're pushing on us, our children. And well, just what is it? What's the next one? It's either COVID-19, it's the LGBT alphabet people agenda, or it's the climate change stuff. And we're going to get into some of that tomorrow. I'm working on a story right now where the government has been reducing irrigation and fertilization for farmers, and it's been having a negative effect. Absolutely. So anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of this whole thing. And well, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.